There is an epic God mode glitch that's been found for Liberty Falls for Black Ops 6 Zombies. There is so much you can do with this. We unlocked so many Dark Ops calling cards in one match. I was able to get to round 100, and you can grind for Gobblegums, Perkaholics. This is a true God mode, and the zombies do target you, and you can absolutely fly through rounds if you have that rage mode on. In the 90s on solo, the rounds were about a minute to 2 minutes long. This glitch is fairly easy to do. There's just some minor timing, but once you get it down, you'll be fine. But there are some things you can and cannot do with this. And I'll go over everything I learned while going to round 100 doing this glitch. First thing you need to do is grab the valve from the flower shop. This is one of the steps for the jet gun. You won't be completing this step. This is what's going to allow you to stay in God mode. Head to the bowling alley and melee that plate off the wall, place the valve, and then start the water pressure step, and then immediately leave through this door right here. It's important that you leave through that door and not the other. It should show on the left of your screen that you've started the water pressure step, but it's not progressing. You need to stand at the door right here, wait for that white flash, and run back over to the panel and quickly interact with it again. I missed the timing on the first one. I just wanted to show you guys how hard this is. It's really not that bad. What you're trying to do is interact with that water pressure again while that white flash is still kind of on the screen. So you need to get to that panel quickly. What happens here is when you leave the building, it resets it. So you're trying to activate it again really quickly while you still have some of that white fog on the screen. Stamina up really helps here. Without it, it took me 20 tries. With it, it took me 2. But as you're standing at that doorway and the flash goes off, you're running towards that panel and you just want to activate it immediately and pull off away from it, like back away from it. You're just trying to hold square or whatever activate button you have and then pull back as fast as you can. So if you have that white haze in the air, you'll know you've got the timing right. You can just have a zombie come up to you and test it. If you're in God mode, then you'll know. Next thing you want to do is interact with the water pressure again, and this time get the bar filled about 80 to 90% of the way and then let go and let it just stay there. What's happening right now is that everybody in the game is in God mode, no matter where they are on the map, as long as that white bar stays on the screen and doesn't disappear and get canceled. The way you keep the white bar on the screen is one player needs to stay in the bowling alley and the other players can run around anywhere and do whatever they want. As long as there's one player in here, that bar will not move. If everybody leaves, it will slowly start to deplete. So if you have other players in the game, just take turns going out and getting stuff done. Pack-a-punch, perks, weapons, whatever. If you are solo, you want to fill the bar about 90%, and then you can leave and go to Pack-a-punch, hit the arsenal to upgrade your weapon rarity, but then you need to get back. You've only got about that much time. So you can go out and make short trips, but you gotta get back fast. Right here, Cam is staying in the bowling alley, and I'm just gonna run around and take all the time that I need to get weapons, to pack a punch, to get perks, and then I can trade out and he can go do the same. And if you are solo, I would make sure and have all the doors open first before you set this up. Also, there are some things you cannot interact with once you have this God mode set up. There are a few things you cannot do while you're doing this. You cannot interact with the exfil radio and exfil. You cannot interact with the bank vault door and put the numbers in to open it. You cannot use exit strategy gum and try to exfil that way. It will not trigger the gum. You can exfil if you just leave the building and let that water pressure gauge completely reset. The God mode will be turned off at that point, and you can do everything on the map. Things that you can do: you can open doors, buy perks, pack a punch, interact with the arsenal to upgrade your weapon. You can do all the kill streaks. You can buy anything from the crafting table. There might be some complications with doing the main Easter egg with this that we have not tested. And after going to round 100, we learned a lot about weapons and what's good and what's not good. If you're trying to go really fast, then you're going to want to turn on the rage-induced mode that's at the spawn. That is fantastic for this. However, if you're solo, it seems like you can't turn on the rage mode after you have this God mode activated. So you need to turn it on before, but not being solo and playing with other players, it seems like you are able to turn it on after the God mode. There's a 2-player strategy we were doing that allowed us to crank through rounds. And because one player needs to stay inside of the bowling alley, we would have one player inside, open up the chopper gunner, go into it, maintain that pressure valve on the left, while the other player stood out here by these cars and held all the zombies while the chopper gunner killed them. In the later rounds, you get a ton of manglers and abominations, and the chopper gunner is insta-kill for both of those. Like, it evaporates the abominations. So yeah, you go through rounds really fast. And we had so much salvage to buy the chopper gunners, and a lot of the times we were killing so many elites, they were dropping lots of chopper gunners on the ground, so we never ran out of those. The solo strategy I did was just stay in the bowling alley, have the jet gun and energy mines, and also the knife that is Pack-a-Punch 3 times, legendary, and melee macchiato to deal with the manglers. So you just alternate between blasting the jet gun and the energy mine, and then at the end of the round you're going to be left with a few manglers, and you just knife those and they're gone. But yeah, the rounds in the 90s were like a little bit over a minute long. I was surprised how fast they went. Something I didn't expect is that in the later rounds in like the 80s and 90s, the spider rounds are really, really long. Like, they take forever. You've got the zombie rounds that are like a minute, and then the spider rounds are like 7 minutes. It's ridiculous. I just went and got a bunch of sentry turrets and blasted them. You can have 2 out at a time, but that just helps to like get through those rounds. They're really obnoxious. Another thing I learned, and maybe you guys know this, the knife is still a 1 melee kill in the hundreds. I was not expecting that. Obviously, you gotta have it packed 3 times, legendary and melee macchiato, but yeah, that is amazing. I was able to unlock 3 dark ops that I hadn't gotten yet, obviously going to round 100, and then I got the one where you have to chew 25 gums in one match. Like, that took until round 56 to do. That was really like a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. The arm to the teeth is really easy. That's where you have 3 weapons that are tier 3 Pack-a-Punch, all legendary, all ammo mods. Yeah, you've got a lot of money and a lot of time, and you're totally safe, so that's an easy one. This gummed up one was a real pain in the ass. Obviously, you're wasting 25 gums, and then sometimes you'll have a gum running and you'll hit the gum machine and it gives you the same one. So now you have to wait a new round. So yeah, this will put you sometimes into the 30s, the 40s, and for me, the 50s. You have to have this really well planned out and use multiple packs to like get this to happen in the earlier rounds. I certainly wasn't prepared. There's one Dark Ops that we tried with this, with the God mode, and it did not trigger, and people were saying that it is bugged, and that's the one where you have to melee only until round 25, and we tried it and we got nothing, so who knows, it could be bugged. As far as gobblegums in the higher rounds, I noticed that I was still just getting 1, 2, or 3, even though I was in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and I had just as much of a chance to get Perkaholic in round 2 or 3 as I did in the higher rounds, so it didn't really seem to make a difference. But obviously, playing a ton of rounds, you're going to get a ton of gums, so this is an excellent strategy to load up on gums. Try to get some of those Perkaholics before they patch this, because they certainly will. Let me know if you guys have any tips or tricks along with this strategy, and we'll see you guys next video.